Hi everyone, I'm Wendy, and today I'm showing you a whole food plant-based cinnamon roll. A few weeks ago, I showed you my mom's whole wheat bread recipe, and we were playing around with turning that into cinnamon rolls, and we finally have the recipe ready for you. The dough recipe is the same as the bread dough except for one change, and that is the addition of date sugar. But otherwise, the method is exactly the same. You'll start by warming up 2 cups of water to no more than 110 degrees Fahrenheit. About a minute in a 1000-watt microwave should do the trick. Then add about a tablespoon of dry active yeast to the top of the water and leave it sit for 15 minutes. You can also use 1 packet of yeast, which is just a little less than a tablespoon. After about 15 minutes, when the yeast is all bubbly, you'll add a tablespoon of date syrup. If you wanted, you could also use applesauce for an even more natural sweetener. This just helps to feed the yeast. Then, in a large mixing bowl, we'll add 4 cups of whole grain flour. We like to use 3 cups of sprouted whole wheat and 1 cup of whole spelt flour. You could also do all 4 cups of whole wheat, but whenever we add a different kind of flour, we usually only do 1 cup of the other type of flour, but you could experiment with different varieties. We're also adding 1 tablespoon of ground flaxseed and 1/2 cup of date sugar. Date sugar is a great whole food sweetener. It's just whole dates that have been dried and ground up. Whisk that all together to combine and then form a well in the center of the flour. Pour the water yeast mixture in the center and then stir everything to combine. You don't have to knead this bread, you'll just mix it until everything comes together. We usually start with a wooden spoon and then use our hands to form it into a ball. Then we'll cover this with either a tea towel or plastic wrap and leave it in a warm spot, like on top of the oven, for about an hour or until the dough has approximately doubled in size. Meanwhile, we'll prepare the rest of the ingredients. For the filling, blend about 8 to 10 medjool dates with 1/2 cup of liquid. You can use water or plant-based milk. We use soy milk. We also like to let the dates soak in the liquid for about 20 or 30 minutes, although this is not necessary in a high-speed blender. If using a standard blender, it is best to soak first to make sure the dates fully blend. Set this aside until the dough is ready. We also made a cinnamon and date sugar mixture. You can mix together as much as you like. Add equal parts of cinnamon and date sugar to a spice jar with a shaker top. We used about 1 to 2 tablespoons each, and then we'll set this aside. We also like to add some walnuts to the filling, but this is totally optional. If you want to add some, chop about 1/2 to 1 cup of walnuts and set aside. Once the dough has doubled in size, lay out a piece of parchment paper and sprinkle plenty of flour on top so the rolls won't stick. We press the dough out into a square. You can use a rolling pin if you like, but the dough is pretty sticky. My mom likes to just press it with her hands, which works really well. Again, use plenty of flour because the dough will be sticky. You'll want the dough to end up being about 1/4 of an inch thick. Next, we sprinkle a heavy layer of that cinnamon date sugar mixture evenly all over the dough. You can add as much or as little as you like to suit your tastes. Then we spread the date paste mixture that we set aside earlier evenly across the top. My mom's using a silicone brush here, but you could also probably use a pastry knife or some other tool to spread it around. After that, we sprinkle another light layer of the cinnamon date sugar on top, and if using, sprinkle the chopped walnuts all over the dough. And now it's time to roll it up. Starting from one of the short ends, roll the dough into a log. You may need to add more flour as you roll if the dough is still sticky. Be patient and take your time. Once it's all the way rolled up, gently squeeze and lengthen the roll just a little bit to make sure it's even all the way across. Next, take a serrated knife and cut it into 15 to 18 1-inch pieces. Lay the rolls out in a 9 by 13-inch casserole dish lined with parchment paper. We do 3 rows of 5 and usually have 2 or 3 extra rolls, which you can bake separately. Set this aside to rise once again for about 30 minutes to an hour. And then you'll bake the cinnamon rolls at 375 degrees for about 45 to 60 minutes. My mom likes to carefully lift the rolls up to check that the bottoms are fully cooked through. It should be dry and firm on the bottom. If it's still wet, it needs a little longer. While the rolls are baking, we'll blend up the icing. Again, you can soak the dates so they blend better. We're using 6 medjool dates, 2/3 a cup of plant milk, 1 teaspoon of cinnamon, and 1 teaspoon of vanilla powder. After blending, transfer to a jar with a lid and store in the fridge until ready to eat. We spread the icing on top of each individual cinnamon roll, but if you were serving a crowd, you could spread it across the entire pan. If you aren't going to eat them all right away, I recommend waiting to add the icing to avoid soggy cinnamon rolls. And while these are made with whole food ingredients, this is still a pretty decadent treat. So we like to freeze these and only take out 1 or 2 at a time to make sure we don't overindulge all at once. I hope you enjoyed this recipe. Let me know in the comments if you give it a try. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe for more whole food plant-based meal ideas. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.